All right, Keisha, let's dive into those five big changes. We'll keep it nice and conversational. You can start us off with the first change and we'll just riff from there. Let's make it a fun chat.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Women Over 40 Losing Weight. I'm your host, Dr. Kisha Pickford, a nurse practitioner and holistic weight loss coach. And I'm also your guide on this midlife wellness journey. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been listening since episode one, thank you for rocking and growing with us. And joining me as always, is my co host Jay, our resident fitness coach and strength training specialist, and also the man that will absolutely remind you that cardio is not the answer.
And hey, everyone, I'm Jay, and I'm excited to be here as always to dive into these big changes with Keisha. So, today, like she said, we're going to break down those five shifts that can really make a difference up to 40. And yes, I'm going to say it. Strength training is going to come up at some point, but we'll get there. So, let's jump in and have some fun.
Okay, good. Now, let's start off with why does this even matter? Yes, today we're talking about the solutions that we definitely should be making after 40 to finally get the weight off. But why does it even matter? I want to start off with this. This episode is the one that I wish I had or someone had given me before I hit age 40. Most women hit their 40s and 50s and even their 60s, and they think something is wrong with them because the weight just does not come off and it just absolutely gets harder.
Absolutely. And that's such a key point, Keisha. It matters because your body's just not playing by the same rules it did in your 20s and 30s. Hormones shift, metabolism changes, and the old tricks just don't cut it anymore. So, this is really about helping women understand that there's nothing wrong with them. It's just about making a few smart changes. And that's exactly what we're here to dive into today.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. A lot of us do think, the body is just broken, I just can't do it anymore. But, we actually have to come into this season of life and realize that those changes that are just getting so hard to do, the body is really just communicating to us. And, it's letting us know that, things are changing. You're going to have to, find a different method. And, there's actually a little bit of science behind this as well. Women who lose, 3 women when we get a certain age, women lose about 3 to 8% of muscle per decade, starting in our 30s. And then after 40, insulin sensitivity can drop as much as or to about 30%. So we're not, as sensitive to the insulin requirements that we may need. And then more than 80% of women report unintentional weight gain during midlife. And, if we just can remember this little bit of science, that things just get different when you get to the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Absolutely. And that's such an important piece to highlight. It's like the body's giving us a little nudge saying, hey, we need a different approach now. And understanding that science can be really empowering. So it's not that something's wrong with you, it's just that your body's in a new chapter. And that's why these changes matter so much because when we know better, we can do better and actually feel better.
Correct, exactly. And today, we're giving you the roadmap to work with your body and not fight against it.
Absolutely. That's the key. We're here to help you partner with your body and really make those changes feel natural and sustainable. So let's get into those five big changes and show you exactly how to do it.
Okay. All right. So the first change after 40 is eat for blood sugar balance. And, this is not about dieting and it's definitely not about restriction. This is about stabilizing your system, your body, and your meals. They should include a protein, a healthy fat, and it should be some fiber or some type of slow burning carbohydrate or carb. I call it, balance plates. And these balance plates will stabilize those hormones, in particular, insulin. And then you will begin to control that hunger. You'll see that your energy and your mood will all change for the better, and the cravings, they will begin to decrease.
Absolutely, and that's such a game changer, right? Because when you're focusing on that blood sugar balance, you're not feeling like you're constantly on a roller coaster, and it's not about cutting everything out. It's really about that balance and giving your body the fuel it needs. So that first change can make a huge difference just in how you feel day to day.
Yeah, right. I believe, and it's true that, protein, which is part of that balanced plate, it becomes a non-negotiable after 40. I look at protein now that it's like needing your good pair of tennis shoes, especially when we wear those pretty heels. Or it's like when at this age now, you need a pair of glasses. You got to have 10 pair of reading glasses that you leave all over the house just in case you need a pair of glasses. And that becomes a little serious after 40. And that's how serious protein becomes as well.
Absolutely. I love that comparison. It's like having that must-have pair of glasses or those comfy shoes that just get you through the day. Protein really becomes that non-negotiable staple after 40 because it's going to help you maintain that muscle mass, keep you feeling full, and just support your metabolism overall. So it's kind of like your secret weapon in this stage of life. So yeah, it's definitely serious and definitely a key piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it is. So that brings us to change number two. And change number two, Jay, this is your part, but let me try to start it off. Change number two is, all about strength training. If you hear nothing else that we say today, I want you to hear that strength training is important.
Absolutely. And I'm going to back you up on that one. Keisha, strength training is huge after 40. It's like the ultimate game changer for your body composition, for your bone density, and just for feeling strong and capable. And the great thing is, it doesn't mean you have to spend hours in the gym. It's really just about incorporating some form of resistance training a few times a week. So you take nothing else away, just remember lifting something, using those muscles is going to make a world of difference.
It will. And, I myself find that when I do incorporate strength training into my daily or my weekly routine, I find that, it helps everything. Not only my insulin levels, I feel I sleep better, my cravings decrease. My mood is a lot better if I can make it, to strength training for the week. And my stress, it helps me with stress, and I don't be so uptight all the time. I'm cool and I'm laid back. And this is why women in my program, that start with me, I have them start strength training early, even if it's something simple like body weight exercises or just a pair of light weights that they may use.
Absolutely. And that's fantastic advice. It really is all about just starting where you are. Even if it's just those simple movements, those light dumbbells, or even just body weight, it makes a difference. And like you said, it just helps everything fall into place. Your mood, your stress levels, your sleep. It's like that one change can have this amazing ripple effect. So yeah, it's really one of the best things you can do for yourself after 40.
Yeah, yeah. I think that brings us now to change number three. And this goes along with stress management. We have to manage stress like our life depends on it. Women after 40 or over 40, we carry a lot. There's a lot going on at this stage or age. And, everything. We have kids, we got aging parents that some of us are caring for, our jobs. Most of us have gone into entrepreneurship, so we have businesses, we have bills, households, we're wives, we're aunts. And sometimes a lot of us even have grandkids. I haven't made it there yet, but a lot of my colleagues and my coworkers who are in the same age group, they're grandparents. And so, they're having to deal with that, new title as well. And often, caregiving, on top of a career or business, all of these roles, they just stack and the stress is there and it drives our cortisol through the roof. And as we all know and have heard, high cortisol, it equals more belly fat, more cravings, less sleep, and we are more exhausted when our cortisol levels are through the roof or out of control.
Absolutely, and that is such a huge piece of the puzzle. Stress management, it really does become non-negotiable, just like you said, because when that cortisol's sky high, it's like everything else just gets thrown off balance. So finding those ways to bring your stress down, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's taking a little time for yourself, or just setting boundaries can make a huge difference. And like you said, we've got so many hats to wear this stage of life. So managing stress really is like a form of self-care that just pays off in every area.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll even add a little bit more of my life in here. In the ER, I, see so much going on in the emergency room that, my stress, I think it's just on days, especially on my work days, it's just really high. I'm high stressed all the time, trying to make sure I make the right decision when I care for patients, trying to manage a team because, the nurses' aides, even some of the physicians that I collaborate and work with, they depend on me to make the right decision. And so I'm stressed. I'm pressured. So I've had to go and when I come out of a room or come out of a situation, or sometimes even before I go into the situation, because a lot of times we are pre warned or there's through the computer system you see what you're going into or getting into. So I find myself I have to sometimes take a pause or take a break, do some breath work, maybe take a little short walk, and or even sometimes maybe step into an empty patient room and just take a moment to pray or meditate that that I'm going in to help people and I will make the right decision and not hurt or harm anybody. As a woman over 40, just listening to this example, you probably, my women over 40, we probably all should have some type of our own stress routine, something that, can calm us down. And you develop something that calms you down and keeps your system at an even, steady, cool level.
Absolutely. That's a perfect example. And it really brings it home because everyone has their own version of that high stress situation, whether it's in healthcare or just in daily life. And having that little routine, that little reset, whether it's stepping away for a moment, a bit of breath work, a bit of prayer, meditation, can just bring everything back down to that steady level. And as a woman over 40, like you said, having your own personalized stress routine is just one of the best gifts you can give yourself. So that's a fantastic point.
Yes, it is. And, that brings us to change number 4, which is all around sleep, improving our sleep. Now, I really have to work on this one. It's really hard for me sometimes. It's especially after one of my high stress work days, is to get enough sleep, get enough rest, and stop. Calm your mind and go to sleep. So, improving your sleep has to be on the high priority list. It is known that women who sleep less than 6 hours per night have a 31% higher risk of obesity. And, your body cannot lose weight without good sleep. And that's period. That is point blank, period.
Absolutely. And it's such a big deal. Sleep is really that foundational piece that kind of holds everything else together. And like you said, when we're not getting enough of it, it just becomes so much harder for the body to let go of the weight and to keep everything balanced. So making sleep a priority is one of those changes that sounds simple but can be really challenging, but it's so worth it because it really does pay off your overall wellness and your weight loss journey.
Yes, yes. And and to get into practicing good sleep hygiene or good sleep methods, there are just a few small shifts that I would like to, give to people today and my ladies over 40, just to let them know that it can be done with just, little small shifts. They can matter and they're definitely important. And a few things that we can do, to get that good sleep is, make sure we turning off the screens at least 30 minutes before bed. You can develop a wind down routine, something that alerts you, hey, it's time to go to sleep. Let's do this every time so that my body gets used to it and knows when I start doing this, it's time to go to bed. We can definitely change our room temperature. It's found that a cooler room promotes better sleep. And then just have a consistent time of the day, a consistent bedtime, whether you're a day shift worker or a night shift worker, definitely set your time and just make sure that you do or go to sleep or go to bed at that particular time, and your body will begin to acknowledge that. And then, if you just can't get it together, um, in my program and maybe a lot of healthcare people, we sometimes talk about supplements. But of course, you're going to make sure that these supplements go with your other health issues and always talk to your healthcare provider. But we do sometimes in my program, or a lot of the times, talk about supplements. And one that we may mention quite often is magnesium glycinate.
Absolutely. Those are all such great tips, and I love how you laid them out because it's really about those small practical changes that add up over time. And like you said, even if you need a little extra support, maybe a supplement like magnesium glycinate, that can be part of the toolkit. But those little habits like turning off the screens, having a wind down routine, keeping your room cool, all of those things can make a big difference. And it's nice to know that it's not about overhauling everything at once. Just also the steps that really add up to better sleep and better health overall.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And that brings us, since we're talking about sleep and going to bed, why don't we start to fix our environment just overall? And that brings us to our change number 5, fixing the environment. Our environment drives our habits more than our willpower ever will for weight loss. And we don't have to do a whole lot. And, as you said just before, just one thing at a time. And it could be simple things such as clearing your snack cabinet or your snack drawer, just clearing away those things that just do not fit a weight loss routine. And then we can begin just keeping healthy foods visible, and just make sure they're upfront and ready to go. And we can do things like prepping proteins, pre-washing and cutting our vegetables or some of our fruit, and putting your water bottle out front and center as well where you can see it, and making sure that you reach and grab for it and drink water. And then another thing that I have started to do is just make me an area in my pantry where I call it a health corner. And I just keep some healthy options there, especially when my mind goes to wandering to something else. Just know that I have a place in my pantry where I have something healthy there to reach and grab for, and just always try to keep something stocked there. And I found that I've having to do it more and more because my son, is eating more than me. You think you buy things that you have just for yourself, and things that maybe the young adults, or I have a young adult, but a teenager or your smaller kids, they won't like because hey, that's healthy. That's nothing on my list. They like the chips and cookies and cakes. But I find that I'm having to keep my health corner a little bit more stocked because my son is reaching in my health corner as well and eating up my healthy food. I'm like, dude, come on. That's for me. So I'm making him replace some of my stuff too because he's a working young adult. But create you a health corner. That's what I have done, and it's helping me more and more, and I'm reaching more for healthy options, and I'm seeing the weight, stay where it is or come off. I'm not really picking up any weight at all.
Absolutely, and I love that concept of a health corner. It's such a simple but powerful way to shape your environment so that those healthy choices are just easy. And it's funny how family members end up rating your healthy stash, but hey, that's a win too, right? Means everyone's getting on board. But really, it's all about making your environment work for you and making those healthy choices the easiest option. And I love that you're seeing those results and keeping things stable because it really shows that it works. So that's a perfect fit change to wrap it all up.
Yeah, that is, and yeah, and I like all of those changes, and more I am trying to incorporate them, the best way that I can. Not superwoman at anything. It is a process, a learning process, and but I feel that once I do at least one of those changes more and more, it just becomes automatic for me, and I'm hoping that these changes will resonate with our community and let them know that, they can do it too. Just one thing at a time. It's not, trying to get it all done because when we do, we tend to mess up. So, just these 5 changes, just take one at a time, do it for a little while. Once you got it, move to the next.
Absolutely. That's exactly the right mindset. It's all about progress over perfection, right? And just letting each change become a natural part of your routine. And I think our listeners will definitely appreciate that message because it makes it feel doable and it takes the pressure off. So I think it's a perfect note to wrap up on. And I know you're definitely not trying to be Superwoman, but you're doing an amazing job. And I think everyone listening is going to feel like they can do it too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and close, as you said. And I want to say this: if you've been struggling, if you've been frustrated, if you've been saying, my body isn't listening to me anymore, I want you to hear this. Your body is not fighting you, it's just asking for something different. Balanced meals, strength training, stress reduction, better sleep, a supportive environment. When you give your body what it needs, everything changes.
Absolutely, Keisha. That's a perfect closing note. It's really all about tuning in and giving your body that new kind of care that it's asking for. And just knowing that you're not alone in that journey, that it's absolutely possible, and that each of these changes can make a huge difference. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a Friday episode. And if you're ready for deeper support, you can visit me at amplehealthandwellness.com, or you can grab my book, The Wait is Over. Now, I want everybody to hear this as well. Stay healthy and be safe. Jay and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.